I know we're going for realism here, but that's fucking disgusting. Hola, hello, and shalom. It is your girl Casey here, and today we are on TfL Rail. We got ourselves a class 315, and we are on TfL Rail today. And for those of you who don't know what TfL Rail is, well, it's something that a little friend of mine, Jeff Marshall, calls the Cross Purple Lizzy Line. Say that 3 times fast. Now, we're starting off our Lizzy Line train today at London Liverpool Street. We're boarding right now, and we have ourselves the Armstrong Powerhouse Class 315, which, excuse me, is probably one of my favorite MUs in the game, next to the 313, both of them based off of the Pep family, as I think they're called. Basically, EMUs based off of the Mark II coaches that used to run on British Rail. And right now, we are loading here at London Liverpool Street. I'm going to quickly set this to our train number. So, cool thing is that this thing, you could set your own train number to this, as long as you know what signal you're near, because you also have to put the signal in. We're going to Shenfield today. We're making all stops to Shenfield, but we're all the way at the bottom of the map right now at London Liverpool Street, and our signal that's in front of us is 051. So what we would put for our train, I would say, would put, I don't know, a number 4. Oh wait, we have to register first. You go to this button right here, and then you click on it, and it goes to registration. So this is how we register our train number. We're going to put 4W20, and then 051, because that is basically the signal that we're sitting at. Should go through any second. All right, and we are trained for W20. All right, so ignoring my badass right now, we're at Liverpool Street. We're still loading up. This is what's at Liverpool Street right now. Lots and lots of blueberries. That's what I call these trains. These are Class 360s. And they're basically the zero trains. The same trains that run on Southwestern Railway, the Class 450s, but they don't have a front gangway, and these are overhead powered. But this is what we have. Our Class 315. We should be ready to go in about a minute. Alright, so I don't know what the heck is going on with the camera, but it's like acting up. Doesn't mean it's gonna stop me, because honestly I haven't done one of these in a long time. I keep forgetting. Stick it down. Alrighty. Alright, so we're heading to Shenfield, and we're doing all local stops to Shenfield, like a normal TfL rail train. It's gonna be a little slow coming out of, Liverpool Street Station because of the high density of trains that are here in Liverpool Street. But as we go along the route, the frame rate should get better. This is kind of like a Grand Central like case when we were doing with the M8s and stuff like that. Though back then I had my settings set up in a way where, you know, it was kind of set up to fail basically. Not this time around. I'm trying this time not to like have my frame rates kill my video. Alright, so train 4W20. So, I don't know if this is a real train that TfL Rail operates, but I thought it was a good number to pick. Reasons. I would not like to get into it. But let's just say it has to do with the color of that signal we're passing. Is that signal fucking floating? Alright, no further questions. This game's already weirding me out. We've already been maybe a minute into it. I decided to pick TfL Rail because it's short and sweet. But it's also, you know, something that's different. It's a nice little regional rail line, as in, like, it's a nice little commuter rail line. It runs from Liverpool Street to Shenfield at the current moment. Though, in 2021, the crosstown tunnel known as Crossrail should open, and that's going to connect this with the Great Western Main Line. So the trains will run basically from Shenfield to Reading via this new crosstown tunnel known as Crossrail. I think sometime last year they renamed it after Queen Elizabeth, hence the name the Elizabeth Line. A lot of people are very protestive over that, you know, name. Personally, I don't mind it. But at the same time, you know, Crossrail is kind of like a historic thing. It's kind of like their 2nd Avenue subway. I don't know if you know what the 2nd Avenue subway is, but it's a subway line in New York that New York was promised for years. And they just finally got it after like years of proposition, and it was delivered pretty late, from my understanding. I think it was like a year late or something like that. So, yeah, a lot of people, you know, are mad about Crossrail being delayed, but Crossrail should open in 2021, and when it does open in 2021, please, I hope to God, then these Class 315s will be replaced with Class... I don't even know the number of those, but these Bombardier Aventra MUs that are going to replace them. They're already coming into service. I think they're the Class 345s or something like that. They're already coming into service and replacing these cars. So when they do eventually replace all of these cars, then they're going to run into the midsection of Crossrail and make all the station stops. And I heard that all the underground stations are going to have platform screen doors. So it'll be like a subway system down there. Another thing I also found out is that in the tunnel they're going to be running under CBTC, which historically is known as a signal system for subways. So in many ways, Crossrail is going to have like a subway element to it, but it's going to be a commuter rail. It's going to be a true S-Bahn type system, if you really think about it, if you want to be technical. And for those who don't know what an S-Bahn is, just look it up on the internet. SEPTA is supposed to be an S-Bahn. We all saw how that went. Alright. So our first station stop on this train is going to be Stratford. And Stratford is a very, very busy station on the line. It connects with the Central Line, which is London Underground line. It also connects with the Jubilee Line, or the Jube Tube, as a lot of people call it. It connects with the Docklands Light Railway. It also connects with, I think, C2C, which is another commuter railway based out of Fenchurch Street. Some services go to Liverpool Street on the weekends. Now we have a nice little stretch here without stations. And the reason why there's not many stations on this stretch is because a lot of this area is served locally by the Underground and the DLR. And the DLR and Underground serve more as like the local transit for the area, so it makes no sense for the train to stop. There are places though where you can see spaces for what used to be platforms. Like right here, I'm willing to bet that I'm not even from the area. I don't know too much about this line, but I'm willing to bet that there used to be a station here from the way the tracks are splitting. Big characteristic. Or as Charles Ramsey said, dead giveaway, dead giveaway. That motor is loud on these trains. But this is what we're working with. In the front you got yourself the sign that scrolls, which I think is pretty nice. It's a pretty nice looking train. It looks a lot like the Class 313, but it's one car longer each set, so it's an 8-car train instead of a 6-car train. With 4 cars per set. Here comes the DLR coming in over here. The further we get out of London, the better the frame rates will get. Because right now, this is some bullshit. One of the things I like about this train is that it's pretty nimble, just like the 313s, but it also has its own rate of acceleration. It's not too fast. The 313s, they're like rockets. They take off when you put it in notch 4. You put these things in notch 2 and these things are taking off. So you gotta be really careful with them, otherwise you will have them wheel slip. They do have wheel slip protection, though. Doesn't mean that you can freely wheel slip. You'll still damage the train somewhat. At least that's in real life, not in the game. I try to run my trains like I would in real life. I'm going to slow down a bit coming into Stratford because we have a 50-mile-an-hour limit coming into Stratford. Don't know why is that. I guess it's because of like how curvy the platforms are. And we have ourselves a flashing yellow, so that means we're gonna have an alarm to answer to. And I'm wearing headphones. Fuck. I got that before it even annoyed me. Alright, so, fun fact. To the right there, you see that track coming in from the tunnel? That is the London Underground Central Line. Of course, the Central Line being the train that runs right through Stratford and then goes right back underground again. And there is a cross-platform transfer with TfL Rail, which makes it even more unique. And gives TfL a very overground feel to it. But then again, it's supposed to be kind of like the overground. But because of its relationship with Crossrail, that's why it has that purple identity. Alright, Stratford Station. Alright. So, that's, cross purple is the train over there. And over here are the tracks for the Central Line. And you can tell they're the Central Line tracks because it's 4 tracks. For those not familiar, London uses a 4th rail system over there, so they have a 3rd rail and a 4th rail that powers the trains, as well as the 2 running rails to support the wheels that brings the train back and forth on the tracks, simple shit. That's nerdy of me, okay? I'm a fucking train nerd. I'm a gothy train nerd that just really loves trains. And metal. Oh. So the next station is not even a stone's throw away from Stratford, and probably one of the closest stations by far I've seen. This is the most SEPTA shit I've ever seen in Great Britain. This is literally how SEPTA stations be. You'll be on the regional rail, right? On a Silverliner 4 between stops. And you're already almost at the next stop by the time the train makes it to like 40 miles an hour. This line is kind of regional rail-esque. It does kind of have like that feel. A lot of stations are close together. So that's why I kind of picked it. Though, I have 8 cars to work with. This is not SEPTA where we're working with like 2 or 4 or 3 or 1 car. We have to work with 8. And some of these platforms are just big enough for an 8-car train. And I've learned this the hard way, so I'm taking it very easy coming into these stations because I do not want to screw up shit. If it's one thing I have learned to do on these trains is manipulate the brakes to my liking. You see that? Perfectly on the platform. So, why do all these London routes have cop sirens in it? Asks the paranoid goth woman asks. Like in every London route, all I hear is 12 in the background, and I'm just like, why? Why? Is London that dangerous? Like, I know London has its ups and downs, and there are some neighborhoods that I was warned about. And let's be honest, I'm from fucking Canarsie, Brooklyn. And I have friends who live in North Philadelphia. I have friends who live in West Philadelphia. I have friends who live in Southwest Philadelphia. I ain't scared of shit. People make London sound like it's a whole different world. Unless you've seen East New York in the 90s, shut the fuck up. Canarsie wasn't that bad of a neighborhood in Brooklyn, admittingly. But I grew up in, like, the Patagate area. So it was like a lot of low-income families over there. And a lot of kids, you know, their parents did questionable things. We knew one of the kids that I was hanging out with, their parents were doing some illegal things, and I had to be this kid's friend every time his father got arrested. He would always come to my house and he'd be like, my father got arrested again. And I was like, well, I'm so sorry, dude. Here, let's come inside. I'll make you a peanut butter sandwich. I loved hanging out with him because he would always ask me for, you know, a peace of mind, and just ask me, like, if I could listen to him and stuff like that. And that's all I really needed, was a friend to listen to him. So I listened to him whenever he needed to talk. And that's how I kind of became the person that people go to when they have problems. They're like, hey, Casey, can we talk about something? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. I'm very friendly. I always keep people's secrets. I'm not a gossiper. I gossip, admittingly, when, you know, it's little things. But if it's like something that's like really personal, I'm not gonna do that to somebody. That's not fair. I always tell people I have an open door policy. Forest Gate Station. Alright. We just completed our stop at Forest Gate. No, not notch 4. Notch 3 is fine enough. So this is our train right here. It has the TfL navy blue that is synonymous with TfL Rail's current branding. When the Crossrail tunnel opens, the line will be branded as the Elizabeth Line, and the doors will be painted purple. Well, on the new trains, because these will be gone by then. These trains are actually retiring. The next station on this train will be Manor Park. Now, the funny thing is that Armstrong Powerhouse does not give you the London Overground or the TfL Rail branding for some reason. I guess it's because they're very, like, you know, scared of TfL. But that didn't stop people from making their own patch online, and this was a third-party patch that I found on UK Trainsim that put the TfL Rail and the London Overground logos on the 315s. And whoever made this, thank you very much for making this, because holy lord, it is a nice reskin by far. It's a shame the 315s are not going to bear the Elizabeth Line name comes the time when they have to change everything to Elizabeth Line. Some people will say, oh, well, that's a blessing, blah, 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 TfL for life, but I think it sucks. That's just me, though. Don't at me. Uh-oh. I think I might have screwed this one up. Excuse me. The brakes are good on this train, but we're about to really test them. Because I done fucked up. Ooh. Is that a oof? Did we oof? Did we oof? We're gonna oof. Oof. Ah. Yeah, we oofed. Okay, that's an overrun I could actually live with. Fuck it. See why I say that was like a overrun I could live with? The door is actually somewhat on the platform. However, the cool thing about these trains is that they have select door opening. So you could tell people, hey, go to the other door. Because I done fucked up. Now, if it was both doors, I would have had to back the train up because that's inexcusable. And I have done that a few times on this line. This is why I don't like throwing it all the way up to notch 4. You can hear it struggling. Alright, the next station stop is Ilford. And at Ilford, we switch sides. On the left, you can see the fast track. That's for the express trains that's running out towards Colchester and Ipswich and Norwich. They're going to go underneath us, and they're going to come up on the other side as we cross over them before Ilford. Don't know why we do this at Ilford, but we do this at Ilford. There's also a depot here for trains. I fucking hate when there's a depot because then the frame rates drop to almost nothing. Bounds Green Depot looking at you. Alright, you gotta commend me here. Do you know how hard it is to drink out of a glass cup without putting black lipstick on it while you're wearing black lipstick? And this thing was filled this much with Coke, Pepsi, whatever the fuck. They taste the same to me. This is not sponsored by Coke or Pepsi. It's hard not putting black lipstick on this. But I somehow did it. Sure acting a lot like my train number right now, I'll tell you what. See, now that's just encouraging speed behavior. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah. Coming into Ilford Station. So, they didn't have any more blue Christmas trees this year, so I had to settle to get a giant Hanukkah bush. It's kind of cute, though. I like it. I say giant, it's probably the size of a munchkin from the Wizard of Oz. I know we're going for realism here, but, that's fucking disgusting. Dude, what the fuck? I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see that shit. Alright. Next station is going to be Seven Kings. Now you see how we're on the left side of the train tracks now? We used to be in the middle, but now we're on the left side. That's because we went over the express tracks. So the express tracks are on the right, and on the left are the tracks for the local trains to make their stops. So the local trains make their stops at Good Maze and Seven Kings and stuff like that. This is Ilford Depot on the right that we're passing. And in Ilford Depot, you can see a lot of blueberries, or Class 360s. I like the shops here, they're pretty nice. In real life, this would be filled with TfL Rail trains, not a bunch of blueberries. But I do appreciate the blueberries coming out to play. Excuse me. I gotta admit, the signal bell is a little annoying, but at the same time, what can you do? It's classic. It's gonna be one of the things I'm gonna miss when, you know, these trains will fully retire. Not that, they'll ever be retired from the game. You can always operate these trains in the game, but in real life, you're not going to hear this again in real life if you ever are a driver in England. Because the new trains, they just make a bing sound whenever you go over like a signal point. It doesn't make that sound like a telephone, you know? Like that. Like the new trains just make that bing sound. And it's nice, but it's also annoying. I kind of find it annoying. I wish the damn frame rates didn't drop so much. Seven Kings Station. This is Seven Kings. Yeah, 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 Coco Jumbo, yeah, yeah, yeah. If I had $1 for every time somebody thought that was an Ace of Base song. Um, no, Ace of Base did not make Coco Jumbo. That's Mr. President. Don't at me, bruh. Good Maze, next stop, Good Maze. There's literally like maybe a mile between these stations, not even like a half a mile, like an eighth of a mile. And then the next station, Chadwell Heath, is not even that far behind either. This feels so much like a SEPTA regional rail line with the way the stations are spaced. And I thought the Moorgate line was bad. No, this is some bullshit. Alright. Wrong button. Alright. So, Good Maze. Okay, real quick. What kind of fucking lawsuit does National Rail, Network Rail, whatever the fuck they call it over there, wants with this bullshit over here? Not only is the track really far away from the platform, but look at this. It doesn't even line up. Forget getting caught in a gat. You need to fly in order to get between the door and the platform here. Fuck minding the gap. You need a paracel to get from the door to the platform. Kind of shit. And also, look at how high the train is off the platform. On top of having to jump over, like, the Grand Canyon, you have to drop at least a good 2 feet in elevation. Again, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I'm not even being facetious here. Like, this is some irresponsible bullshit. This is little things like this. Like, I love the developers for Train Simulator, but you could tell they rushed certain things, and this is the things that got rushed. What the fuck is that? I shouldn't be able to see the entire train's wheel sets from the platform on the track that's closest to the platform. Forget getting the passengers courting the gabble. This is some lazy, irresponsible shit. This is a, hey, we got this done so we can release this route at this time. Again, don't at me, bruh. Finally finished that glass of soda like 10 hours later. Alright, Chadwell Heath. Which looks like it's gonna be the final stop in that little, like, section where we were making stops, like, every half a mile almost. It looks like we're getting some distance between there and the next station, so that's a good thing. Give the train a little breathing room. Ooh, that's perfect. Is it? Is it? Is it? Is it? Is it? Nope. Perfect. Wow. Just made it to the edge of the platform. Of course, the front door didn't open, but... Alright, so now we're leaving Chadwell Heath. We got about 10 miles to go until we get to Shenfield. Next stop's gonna be Romford, which is a big transfer point. And then there's also the first express station on the line. Certain express trains stop there, like Greater Anglia and their long-distance services. Some trains do stop at Romford. Mainly the trains going to Southend, Victoria, and, like, Colchester Town and stuff like that. Or Braintree. I don't know if you guys remembered my drunk video on the Braintree branch, but yeah, I was clearly taking the piss in that video. Yeah, we got ourselves some distance between here and Romford. Which is nice, because you get to take advantage of the 70-mile-an-hour limit over here. I could imagine what commuters every day go through taking TfL Rail into London and dealing with all those like stops after stops after stops, and then they get to this like one section of like speed where the train could actually reach the speed limit. It must be a breath of fresh air. It really must be. It's like that part of the Paoli-Thorndale line where after you get past Paoli Station, the stations get very stretched out. So it's like kind of fun to be in that section of the line because then the trains get to take advantage of the full speed limit. We just made it to 70 miles an hour, and now we have to start slowing down for Romford. But I gotta admit, that's pretty nice. That's a nice little breath of fresh air between those two stations to like go that speed. Oh, I see we have a little bit of a passenger audience behind me. Squishy and Hello Kitty decided to be passengers today, so they're just, coming along for the ride. They're not working. TfL Rail is usually a one-man train service anyway, from what I'm understood. I don't know if they have guards on TfL Rail. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, TfL Rail runs operator only. So that means most trains operate with operator doors only. There's no need for a conductor, so Squishy has a day off, and she decided to bring a friend with her on the train to the ride up to Shenfield. I always slow down before coming into Romford because Romford is a little weird. Kind of has a little dip in the middle of the station. So you want to like come in correct when you come into this station, especially because the platform is just long enough for 8 cars. I'm playing with the brakes a little bit so I can get all 8 cars to the platform. And it looks like we have a blueberry approaching the station. I wonder if it's going to stop on the express platform. So that blueberry is flying past the station at breakneck speed. Yep, it's not stopping. Gee, Nikki, I think. This is the back of our train here at Romford. We're about to take off. I can't really pronounce the name of the next train station. I think it's called Goodea Park. But it is actually one of the cutbacks on this line because there's also a yard there, just like Ilford. Yeah, I don't know if it's or Judea Park, but I cannot pronounce that for my life. Some TfL rail trains during the rush hour start and end at that station, specifically because of the yard access at that station. I'm too much of a goddamn nerd. I know too much of this stuff. I don't know why the frame rates are so bad in this video, but I apologize ahead of time. I really did lower the settings enough and this was working perfectly before. I mean, it's not bad though. It could be much worse. It could be the days before the Gatwick Express video. Never again. By the way, a lot of people didn't see that episode, the Gatwick Express episode. And I apologize if it was boring, but a lot of people told me it was because a lot of people don't like go via Thameslink running the railway system. Word? So you mean to tell me that you deprive my video of views and attention because you don't agree with the type of equipment running on it or who owns it in real life? Mind you, this is a goddamn game. Y'all people are something else, I swear. I'm not a big fan of go via Thameslink Railway myself, but I don't boycott people's videos because of it. Just saying. Just saying. You know, I'm gonna be honest about something. I'm not a big fan of the Thameslink 700 series, the Class 700 to 0 series. But whenever I see a Thameslink video from a YouTuber who I like to watch, I don't ignore the video because it has the equipment owned by Go Via Thameslink Railway. And that's how I feel. It's like you shouldn't let what's in a train video influence your decision on whether or not you're gonna even like look at the video and give it a chance to thrive in your like, you know, eyes. But I digress. You know, people only do that because that's just their immature way of handling certain things. And I understand that there are a lot of people who are younger watching this video, and some may not agree with what I have to say, and I admit, you know, I say some controversial things sometimes. But it's up to you to make something of it other than, scream and shout and say that, I'm purposely doing something to alienate myself from the rest of the transit fan base. You guys gotta understand something. I may look young, but I'm 27 years old. And I've been around the block once or twice, and I know what it's like. And sometimes it can be hard. But the best thing you could do is just, be open to, critiques, suggestions, and corrections. That's my best advice. And also be open-minded about other people's videos. A lot of people put a lot of time putting them together. I was kind of disappointed looking at the views of my Wellham Green video. I was expecting, something a little bit better than 100 views after 2 weeks. And it's not because I have a spoiled outlook of thinking, oh, I expect this much views for this much video in this much time. It's because of the amount of work I put into it. I feel like if I put a large amount of work into it, it's going to pay off with a large amount of views, or it pays off with a large amount of people who actually care about the content enough to sit there and be interested in it. But a lot of people didn't watch that video, and the ones who did, a lot of people downrated it because apparently I didn't have Thameslink services operating in the middle. I don't want to put the Super Alps Class 700s in the main line again like I did the last time, because the last time I did that, it slowed the game down immensely. And I don't want the game to slow down to the point where it's going because then you guys will really get on my back about, the frame rates and stuff like that. So you have to give and you have to take. And that was my give and that was my take. It sucks, but that's how it has to happen. Plain and simple. I also noticed that a lot of people have very snark ways about correcting certain information that I get wrong. You guys gotta understand something. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the USA, so I'm not familiar with a lot of these railway systems in person. So if I get certain little aspects wrong, there's a difference between, enlightening me and belittling me. Do not belittle me. Especially if you're not even old enough to freaking buy alcohol legally yet. And I'm talking about here in this country. And don't tell me, oh, but in my country, it's this age where I could buy alcohol. No. I'm talking about the principle here. If you're not old enough, in my eyes, to buy a bottle of alcohol here in the United States, you do not have the right to talk to me like you got the biggest nuts in the world and shame me for not pronouncing certain things correctly or knowing where certain things are. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to live my life the best way I can and give you guys these quality videos with some hee-haws here and there. So, if I get certain things wrong, enlighten me. Don't belittle me. That's all I ask. Harold Wood. So, earlier tonight, I went to Bed Bath & Beyond with my girlfriend, and we were getting some decorations and some stuff for Hanukkah. Right now, we definitely need a lot of candles. We're running out of candles for Hanukkah, so Hanukkah's coming around the corner. We needed candles. My girlfriend and I decided, let's go up there, but let's not listen to the phone. Let's not listen to the music that's on the phone, and let's listen to what's on the radio. I turn on the radio, first song that comes on, Matthew Wilder, Break My Stride. If you don't know what that song is, look it up. That song right there is the pinnacle of 80s music in my eyes, because holy lord, it's a very iconic song with a very, very infectious chorus. And while I was at the station taking passengers on the train, I'm sitting there just singing to myself, ain't nothing gonna break my stride, ain't nothing gonna hold me down, oh no, I got to keep on moving. Like, honestly, one of my favorite songs from the 80s. That and Keep Me Hanging On, that's another good song. You Spin Me Around Like a Record, another good song from the 80s. But it's definitely up there. It's not maybe top 5, but it's definitely top 10 or top 20. And I don't know if you know, but Aaron Carter made his own version of Break My Stride.
Ain't nothing gonna break my stride.
Now, if you heard his version of Break My Stride, it sounds like a cowboy rodeo on motherfucking acid. And on top of it, he keeps saying these weird things like jump on the fizzy.
Now we're all chillin', jump on a fizzy.
What the fuck is the fizzy? I'm a little scared to ask. What are you asking these little pubescent girls to do when you say jump on the fizzy? Are you asking them to jump on your dick and you call your dick the fizzy? Aaron. Oh, Aaron. What are we gonna do with you? Always talking about some weird ass shit, but always acting like a goddamn fool. Remember, this is train 4W20. There's a reason why I'm coming up with these jokes. Alright, so outside of Aaron Carter's horrible cover of Break My Stride that had nothing to do with the original, there was another song on Aaron Carter's album that was also the same song that I was singing earlier, Hey Oh Aaron or something like that. And it's called Hey You. And it's one of those infectious ass pop songs that you could sing as a child, but growing up you're like, why do I like this song? And it's funny because there's an 80s song, there we go, going back to the 80s, but there was an 80s song called Hey You by Modern Talking. Hey You by Modern Talking is probably one of my favorite 80s songs, also in the list with the Matthew Wilder song. Definitely in the top 10s. It got knocked down a peg because it was my ex's ringtone for a little while, but another good 80s song that I suggest people listen to. And even though the Aaron Carter song is not directly related to it like it is to the Matthew Wilder song, which, by the way, they had to credit Matthew Wilder in the song credits for that, but the Hey You that Aaron Carter did sucked balls. 1, I'll take you out. 2, we're getting down. 3, I want your love. 4, you know what's up. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I was waiting for him to say 4, you want to fuck, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, that would show up in an Aaron Carter song, but, you know, my mind is always in the gutter. By the way, because there's such a incline here, you have to kind of like run the train at full speed, so that's why the motors were running almost non-stop between that last station and this one. Though I gotta admit, now we're getting some distance between stations. And the frame rates are improving as we're getting further away from London, as I anticipated. It sucks, though, that we had to get this far from London for things to start working, because Shenfield's only 2 miles away from here. And that's going to be the next stop after Brentwood. I'm getting tired anyway, so I'm kind of glad that this is the second to last stop, because some of these routes are very long in this game. And one of the things I would love to do is do a full Thames Link run from Bedford to Brighton, but that's going to roughly take about 2 hours. Some of the other routes in this game are also just about that long. I'm probably just going to only do this run tonight, and then on another night I'm probably going to film that Thames Link run. Because I really would love to do that for y'all, is just take a full Thames Link trip all the way from Bedford to Brighton, or Brighton to Bedford, whichever way you want me to pick. Because I have the 319s, the 387s, and some 377s that Thames Link used briefly. So, it'll be an interesting concept for a video. Alright, so we are now leaving Brentwood, and we are heading for Shenfield, which is going to be the final stop on this train, as well as the last stop for TfL Rail in general. This is the last train station in actual London fare zone boundaries, because after this station, we leave London fare zone boundaries and special fares apply. So you cannot even use an Oyster card for this TfL presented service because the cutoff is Brentwood. Needless to say, you could still use your contactless card at Shenfield. I like how TfL Rail operates because TfL Rail / the Elizabeth Line / Cross Purple Lizzy Rail, is whatever you want to call it. They know what they're doing with this. They're presenting a metro-style service to a commuter line. And it's not like a concept that they're not familiar with. They did it with the London Overground. But they really took it home with the TfL Rail, because this used to be all Greater Anglia territory, and Greater Anglia, they weren't too fond of running some of the hyper-local services in the area. Some of their stations are very close together, so it makes sense to have this hybrid-style service. And down the line, of course, once they build the underground section, it'll really feel like, you know, a hybrid system. They're talking about trains in the core section every 2 minutes at each underground station. That's almost unheard of. And this is a 2-track tunnel under London that's supporting services for TfL Rail. Personally, I feel like TfL Rail should be the mode, or I mean, like, you know, like either Crossrail or TfL Rail should be the mode, and what they're building now, the lines that they're building now, should be the Elizabeth Line. But if they ever add to it, they should call lines different lines. And it's funny because Jeff Marshall shared the same thing in a lot of his videos, and every time he said it, I was like, I always felt the same way myself. I feel like the Elizabeth Line is definitely the Shenfield to Liverpool Street line, and when it eventually gets extended all the way out to Heathrow, it'll be the Elizabeth line all the way to either Heathrow or Reading. Though I feel like Crossrail already has two lines. You have the Shenfield to Reading, or you also have Heathrow Airport to Abbey Wood that's going to open later on. That should be a different line. That should not be part of the Elizabeth line. But that's just my personal opinion on it, and obviously, it's a shared opinion. We all heard Jeff Marshall say it in a lot of his videos. I'm a big fan of Jeff Marshall, by the way, but, it's not just being, a fan that makes me agree with that. It's something I always felt was supposed to be that way. And it just so happened he said it, and I was like, holy shit, me too. But anyway, we're coming up to Shenfield now, and I'm about to wrap up this video. Before I go, I would like to say thank you for a wonderful year. 2019 has definitely been a year of progress. As a lot of you know, I suffer from depression and stuff like that. I mentioned it in a few training videos before. I was dealing with losing a lot of loved ones back in 2016. And I lost my, on and off girlfriend last year. She just left one day because she just couldn't take it anymore. And I use that opportunity to just better myself and become a better person, because I don't want people to, feel the way that they feel to the point where they feel like they need to just go and leave me alone in their lives. I want to make sure that people know that I'm a very heartwarming, loving, caring person who just cares about everybody. And if you don't want to be friends with me anymore, you could just tell me. I'll be okay. I'm a grown woman. I'm almost in my 30s. I can handle it. Also, I'm doing a Q&A on this YouTube channel. So, if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask me, check out the Q&A video that I posted with me and Squishy, and I will answer any questions that you have for me. Keep it more towards the stuff that I do on the channel. Try not to get too personal, and keep your questions PG rated, or PG-13 rated at the very most. But thank you for watching. This is Casey. I got my passengers Squishy and Hello Kitty in the background. And thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoyed my babbling performance. Right, Conductor Squishy? Meow. Conductor Squishy agrees. Alright, and we are trained for W20.
Smoke weed every day.
And